We've got this cool level here called Trapolate. How did you come
Yeah,
up with the name? How did you build?
that's a great question. So came up with the name. This is not a pre-planned question. We came up with the name because we're working with huge amounts of documents and we're trying to structure data out of them and then get insights. And so I was very focused on the word extrapolate. We're going to extrapolate meaning and analysis from millions of pages of documents using data that we drew out automatically. Extrapolate.com was taken, extrapolate.net.co. Every extrapolate was taken. And so then it was me and my wife on GoDaddy looking for trying different names, and Extrapolate is what we settled on. I think it was my idea, but ultimately she needs to sign off on important things like that because sometimes I do things that are somewhat nonsensical. And so she agreed, and that's where we are now.
Well, that's cool. That's a cool name. I like the Trapple scope. So thanks everyone for joining. My name is Harry Bauer. I run sales here at Trapolate, and you're here with Bob Gates, the founder, the one and only, the man.
All right. So today's webinar is sign off without signing in. You're probably wondering, why is this the topic for today? So when we started Trapolate, the number one question that we got from potential customers, because in the beginning we didn't have a product, but the number one question was, how do I know that the AI is going to accurately answer my questions when I put in the DDQ or I just a questionnaire, or if I just ask it questions? And it mines my documents and any old approved questions and answers I have. So we answered that in our first webinar. The second question that we got the most often was, okay, you're building workflow tools where my colleagues in legal and compliance can log in and approve things. The problem is my legal and compliance colleagues don't like logging into anything. And the other systems we've used have been so fixed and rigid and required them to, and they just refused. So we end up doing everything by email and sending around huge Word documents or Excel files that have multiple versions. We can't keep track of who's suggesting what edit. We can't keep track of the versions. It's impossible, but they're not going to log in. So we designed a system where they don't have to log in. And that's what we're going to explore today. So this is for customers answering lots of questionnaires that require compliant language, that require audit trails. So what we're really doing is, in kind of a lightweight way, helping companies have compliance workflows so that they're audit ready in case they get audited. So what does Trapolate know about being audit ready? We've been working on this problem for a couple of years. What do we know about being audit ready? Well, we know a lot. So we've gone through SOC 2 compliance, which was an initial audit to get type 1, and then a 3-month observational audit where we are constantly answering audit questions. We have auditors that are in our stack looking at how we're doing things to make sure that we're secure and that we're doing things the right way. So we know a lot about being audit ready in our own, how we build the product in our own lives. But every time we get a new customer, we get audited by them and their cybersecurity team or their IT team. So we fill in a lot of IT questionnaires, very similar to due diligence questionnaires that our customers are filling in, and we use Trapolate to do it. So please rest assured, Harry, we know what it is to be audited.
We absolutely do.
When you joined, there were a bunch of hoops that you had to jump through because of us always being compliant and being audit ready.
That's absolutely right. And it sometimes can seem like a pain, but it's for a good reason.
Absolutely. All right. So let's talk about it. Be a good colleague. Don't make compliance sign into Trapolate unless your general counsel requires it. I'm going to jump into Trapolate and let's just show it. So this is a questionnaire that we uploaded blank and we had Trapolate draft responses to. We kind of went over this last time, so I won't get into the weeds of how that works, but I will get into the weeds of it's drafted answers. I have gone in and made my changes, and now I need to run it by compliance. So for today, Harry, you are compliance.
I'm ready for the challenge.
All right. So from within Tropicate, you can very easily assign questions to your colleagues. So let's assign this one, Harry's. Let's call it Harry's assignments. So when you assign something to a colleague, you go into an email-like interface. You can only send this to your colleagues who have a Tropicate account. You can't send it outside of your company, only to the list of people that you've given us that you help us keep updated that have access to your Tropicate account. So you can come in here. There was a due date that was already on that questionnaire that flows through. I could leave Harry a quick message. All right. And now I'm going to send it, but I realize actually there are other things I want to send Harry. I don't want to send Harry 10 million emails today. I want to keep working and build an email that I can send him at the end of the day that he can then review. So I'm going to jump back into the Lucille Capital questionnaire that I was working on. So this one, it's in draft review. Harry's going to need to approve it. I know that this one, so provide a brief summary and how the firm is structured with regards to personnel. I think Harry is the perfect person for that. But I bet there are others in here he can help me with. Let's see. Let's say, Harry, you're an AUM expert. You've read the latest report. Help me out on that one too. I'm going to assign that very quickly. I don't have to add anything new. It'll go right into Harry's assignments unless I change that. I jump right in. And then I've got Harry's, your to-dos, my friend. Another question we get a lot is, can I work on other questionnaires and fit those into the same email? Yes, you can. You can actually send questions that you're working on in chat. They don't have to be in a questionnaire. You can include those. We'll include it, Harry's assignments, save and return to chat. I can jump in here and see all of my review drafts. Let's jump to Harry's assignments. All right. Harry, are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
You were born ready.
I'm a busy man being in compliance. And at my desk, I'm on calls. I'm reading important, sensitive documents. And I don't always have time to get into Tropicate. I can if I go to this screen. How's the resolution on this, Bob?
Looks nice. Looks good.
Wonderful.
Look at that clean inbox.
Clean inbox. And I work my way up through the compliance ladder, and now it's really important that I stay organized. So the inbox is clean, and that really just helps me in my day-to-day. It's a full core press job 24/7. But now I've got an email from Tropicate that I can review right here in my inbox. I don't have to sign into Tropicate. And I'm going to show some of the functionality in Tropicate next. But first, as I'm looking at these, and this first email right here has questions that Bob selected for me to approve. And if I'd like, I can reply and make inline edits from here. Well, we were at 12. Now we're at 14. And I can do that right here in email. When I'm finished, I send it back to Bob and it goes into Tropicate. But I also have a link here in my email if I want to go in to dig in a little bit deeper, or to simply see everything in Tropicate itself in one spot. So now as I click on that, click to approve, I've got this here that I can edit. It's now 14.
Oh,
I'm going to save.
We've grown.
And just for everyone's edification, left June, July. Great. Now I've added a comment about how or why I changed that answer. And when I click approve, it flows from, on the left-hand side, you can see my review icon. I now have 3 items left to review. And ones that I reviewed in the past end up in my all file here right in front of me.
Hey, Harry.
Yeah.
You know, you left that comment. Is that going to get out to the asker of this questionnaire, or is that internal?
Everything from a comment perspective is all internal, right? It's for us to make sure that we're staying organized ourselves as we answer these questions. Your askers will never see those internal comments. And now we can go through and approve each of these. Let's start with, we'll go through our personnel question. And I'm taking a look at this. This looks pretty good. Yeah.
I know you have a great org chart for this. Can you put that in?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think that I would be doing my job as a compliance expert unless I made sure to add that, especially for the visual learners. So yeah, let's say that all of this looked great. I could just quickly approve it. But if I want to, I can come in here and edit, and I can take a look. The firm is, let's say, I think right after here, it's probably a good idea to put in our org chart, which I had queued up already. And now you can see that from pointing my cursor to where in that message I wanted to add a photo or a file, an image is what I'm looking for. I can add it right in there and then take a look. I think this all looks pretty good. Again, I can go in and make some more comments. If I wanted to just added the org chart, I'm going to save. And then when I approve that, off my plate. Like I said, we can do this inline in the email or here in Trapolate. Would you like me to show other functionality here, Bob? These other two, I think we just updated our ESG policies. Actually, I think it's important we actually can't monitor scope 3 too well anymore. We had a provider change. I'm going to edit that scope 1 and 2. And I think that that's allowable in this situation.
All of our watchers, this demo we're pretending to be a non-existent fund. None of this questions are real, information is real, but everything is anonymous. I should have put that disclaimer at the beginning.
That is also true. And that's a big part of our compliance is your information isn't going to ever be on a webinar or get outside of your walled garden.
Correct.
But if scope 1's your emissions and then scope 2 is the emissions of some of those other companies in the supply chain, then 3 gets pretty dicey with the emissions that go into making the tires for the thing, right? We've moved away from scope 3. And just in case everybody in the firm doesn't know that, away from tracking scope 3, we find it to help. Okay. And that's great. Great context for that edit. Then with that, I'm going to save and approve this.
Awesome.
And then, all right, with just one more left, I'm going to go and look at this. This looks great. Just approved. No notes. That's exactly what I have on my sheet. And now I've done my compliance job of approving these that were assigned to me. And now Bob can show how it gets back to him.
All right. Can you see my screen, Harry?
And now we can see your screen. Yes, sir.
Okay. So just quickly clarify, Harry, you could have hit reply on that email, shot me an email and told me what to approve, told me what to change, or you could have click to review in that email, jumped into Trapolate, and then gone through the process, so we got to see both. That was awesome. So now we're back on the original questionnaire, and these were the 3 things that I had assigned to you. And now they're all approved with your changes. And if I click here on this one, I can see all of the sources, and I can see the comment that you left me, which is awesome. All right.
Yeah, that's really neat. Quickly, Bob, then is there a trail of my actions in there with editing or adding and removing? Does it show anywhere how I might have changed language or updated an answer? Or does it simply say approve?
Harry, we should all be like you, because judging from this question, you are audit ready. You want to see all of the changes. And we encourage everyone to be like Harry, who's born audit ready. So Harry, yes, I jumped to the question page. All right, so now I'm in my question and answer library. Once something's approved, it goes into the question and answer library. And I have all of the sources there forever. I can see the comments. Harry, You're audit ready. This was approved by Harry Bauer today. Before that,
Great.
Harry Bauer made inline edits. And before that, Bob asked the question. So,
Cool.
yes, yes, right. I asked the question. I said this to you. You made edits and you approved.
Good. So now, not just for my own edification, but if there's an auditor or somebody else in the organization wants to see that trail is right there.
It's right there.
Awesome.
You were born audit ready, Harry.
You know it.
Oh, we hear this all the time. I'm just going to use Claude.
Yeah, just use
Harry,
Claude.
Just use Claude.
Why would
Harry,
let's just use Claude. Go ahead.
I threw this in here because if you do want to be audit ready, and like Harry, Claude won't get you there. Claude can answer some stuff. The more stuff you put in it, the worse your answers get. But there's no audit trail. There's no compliance workflow. So everything we've seen today, it's not happening with Claude. So stay compliant. Use Trapolate. Harry.
Yeah.
We have a few minutes to open it up to Q&A.
Yeah. So we got a few questions here. One came in before. Yeah,
sorry though. On use Claude. We have a webinar coming up in a few weeks that is going to be entirely about buy versus build. I mean, we're going to talk about instances where it is appropriate, where you could use Claude. And then we'll walk through instances where it's not. And I think a big one where it's not is when you want to be audit ready and compliance is important.
Yeah, I agree with that. We hear about those struggles with the growth of AGI in general, that there's some tasks or projects or initiatives that sometimes make sense to use Claude for or ChatGPT. And we've seen some look successful based on a specific use case. And we've seen a lot of people come back to us after trying to build what we have on their own. And it's a noble endeavor. But if you're weighing the options, it's worth checking out the next webinar at least, and then getting a good idea of the time and financial resources necessary to do something on your own versus working with another organization that's already purpose built for exactly what you're looking for. I've got a few questions though.
Yes, sir.
With there are a few minutes left. So the question that came in from email was, my company's got a dicey, convoluted workflow for approvals. And we showed something that looked pretty simple. How do we handle those organizations that might have multiple people approving or a chain of command for getting these out the door?
I know who this question came from, Mr. Ken Park. It's a great question. So today we showed a very simple approval flow, right? Where I use Trapolate to draft answer responses, and I sent them to you, Harry, for approval. It was very simple. We can adapt each account to the approval flow of our customer. So if you have a convoluted approval flow where you need 3 people to look at it and then a 4th person to sign off, and that person can't sign off until the first they look at it, we can configure your account that way. So today we just showed kind of the simple flow, but we do see more complicated ones. It should also be noted that I sent that approval just to you. I could have sent it to multiple people. So you can work in parallel. The whole team can sign into Trapolate, work on the same questionnaire, work on different things, and it all works seamlessly. But yeah, we can handle those difficult workflows. Happy to show people who want to see.
Yeah, and I think that was born out of a lot of conversations we had where we heard a lot of the time wasted in those approval workflows was waiting for a level 1 manager to approve before getting to a director, before getting to a CFO, and being able to have everybody work asynchronously to approve was cut down on a lot of the time that's wasted filling those out. Another thing, yeah, go ahead.
Don't wait, Trapolate.
Don't wait, Trapolate. Don't wait, Trapolate. That's going to be the title of our next webinar.
Trapolate.
After the build versus buy.
I like that.
I have another question for you. Here's a question.
Yeah.
I work at a big organization, right? We've got 15 or 20 SMEs that could be approving anything at any given time. but they're just going to get an email or just jump in and click approve. I don't want to pay for all these users on my account. How do we structure pricing? Because I think that's important if you're thinking about working with us.
Yeah, we structure pricing by usage, not by users. So you can put as many users on your Trapolate account as you want. I want to be clear, you control who is in your account, but it can be as many people as you want. What we charge on is usage. And right now we charge on how many questionnaires you're doing a month.
Excellent. Yeah. So for anyone thinking about the size of their team and how they might have heard other similar companies price out by those different models, it's easy with Trapolate. Put everybody in there that needs to have their eyes on an answer at no extra charge. The last question I have with just a few minutes left, Bob, is so from my side in compliance, if we ever speak about or answer questions about certain financial metrics, about certain policies, especially in other countries where we operate, I've got to put a disclaimer in or a footnote or some sort of comment that's going to be seen on that form. And I do them quite a bit. I've been doing it manually today. How do we handle that at Trapolate?
As a user, you can create a disclaimer library or your GC can create that, a compliance officer, whoever's in charge of it for you. You can create that library. And then when you are answering questionnaires, I don't know if you noticed, but on every answer card at the bottom under the answer, it says add footnote. I think it's a plus footnote. And if you click that, you see your answer library and you can choose one or more disclaimers and it'll automatically be inserted into that answer.
Sure. And then just to show you briefly, for anyone curious, if I go into my organization settings, on top of other really cool functionality we have here, like our style guide and footnotes, or our style guide and tags that we use quite a bit, I can go in here to footnotes and build this library just one time. And then when I get into looking at questions, I can go in and I've got the ability to add footnotes to these. And if I'm in the actual form, I can also bulk add as well. And
On a
it's an incredible
questionnaire.
time savings on a questionnaire. Just want to show you that briefly. And we're getting pretty close. Bob, I think we did it.
Fun.
Any other questions?
It's always been fun. We are going to get back to you by email. We're going to come up with a date for this. A lot of people are on vacation this week. So I think we maybe chose poorly, but we're going to put this online on our YouTube channel and we'll be in touch very soon with the next one, probably a little before, a little after Labor Day.
And finally,
buy
versus build. Everyone take care of yourselves. If you know anybody that might be curious about learning more, make sure you reach out to us and connect us. We'd be happy to help. And we'll see you all in the next one.
Hey, Harry, next time I'm going to clean up my office before we do this because behind me is a disaster zone. I'm sorry.
No, you're hard at work. That's what it looks like, Bob. Busy man.
All right, man. Bye.
See you later. Thanks everyone for joining. Take care.